Some good matchups. Penn State and Michigan State. If Michigan State wins, they move on to the Big Ten championship game where they will meet up with Iowa. Number 22, UCLA and USC. That's at 3:30, 7:15 Eastern. Number 18, Ole Miss, and number 21, Mississippi State. Then at 7:30, it is number 13, Florida State, and number 12, Florida. 7:30 also sees number 6, Notre Dame, and number 9, Stanford. Cardinal, they have the nation's leader in all-purpose yards in Christian McCaffrey, who has 2,807 yards. At 8 o'clock, it's Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And Cowboy Jordan Stearns was asked about his counterpart.
He could run. He's a great competitor. We got to prepare for him, but also, just the system that they run. They still got 2 great running backs and great receivers, so you got to prepare for the whole offense as well.
And, of course, Jordan was talking about Baker Mayfield, the fantastic quarterback for the Sooners. Flyers and Rangers hockey. Philly has gone up 1-0 in the second period. I'm Keith Irizarry.
This is KCAA.
As the owner of my business, I wear a lot of hats. I'm accounting, sales, and so much more. But I don't know marketing.
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. Our team can create a digital plan for you with everything from search to social. Contact Dex Media, that's DEX Media, to get found, get chosen, and get talked about.
Whoa, that's a job for cleanup, which would be me.
Call 844-230-3436 or visit dexmedia.com today.
Hey Di, do you know that many people have no idea that the Carousel Mall is actually open?
What? Do you tell them that that's where KCAA is located?
Of course, but there's more than just KCAA here.
Oh, I know. It's a totally great place for a girls' outing. Here at the Carousel Mall, there's Mega Beauty Supply.
And it's huge.
Yeah, the biggest beauty supply store I've ever seen. And they have wigs and extensions.
Then there's Backstreet Beauty Salon and Daniel's Jewelers, a store, by the way, for girls and guys.
Yes, and Nail Fashions where they do waxing and eyelash extensions. There's Lisa's Threading. You know, Mark, eyebrow threading is a big thing nowadays.
I do know about Mr. Yu's.
Yes, when you're ready for lunch, it's Mr. Yu's Chinese restaurant.
Best of all, Mr. Yu's is right next to KCAA.
Yes, all this located in the Carousel Mall, right off the 215, the 2nd and 3rd Street exit.
Come visit the Carousel Mall. We're open.
For more info, go to kcaaradio.com.
Bob Vila here with my home improvement tip of the day. Ceiling fans are great, except when they begin wobbling. What causes that, and how can you fix it? First, check for dirt on the blades. Yes, even a small buildup can cause wobble. Use a sponge and household cleaner to get off the grime. Wobbling could also mean one or more of the blades are warped or cracked. Replace if necessary. If the blades look okay, check to see if they're out of alignment. You can do that by using a yardstick to measure from the upper tip of each blade to the ceiling. If the distance varies, check for loose screws where the blades are attached to their metal housings. Also, those housings sometimes get slightly bent from overzealous cleaning or whatever, and need to be gently bent back to their original position. If none of that works, you'd best head to the home center and pick up a blade balancing kit. They're only a few bucks, and if they help you solve the problem, there's no doubt you'll consider that money well spent. Get more info at bobvila.com and right here at home with me, Bob Vila.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you know where you are? Well, you've done it now. You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station. So expect the unexpected.
Welcome to I'm Mad as Hell with Lloyd Brock and Greg Simpson. Now, if you want to share your anger, this is the station, KCAA, every Saturday at 12 noon. If you're mad as hell at the government, politicians, IRS, your bank, a car dealer, or the court system, let us know. You may want to be one of our in-studio guests, or just call in and vent that anger. 1-888-909-1050 or 909-888-5222 locally. We may not be able to resolve your individual problems, but we will give you a forum to share your anger with our listeners. Now, join us at KCAA 1050 AM and at kcaaradio.com, or check us out at Ustream. Now, here's Lloyd and Greg.
I'm not going to take it.
You're not going to take
No.
it? What are you mad about
No.
this week, Lloyd?
Well, look at all these papers.
Okay.
Look at the news.
Yeah, right. You get
What's
sick,
not to
huh?
be angry about?
There's nothing in there not to be
All
angry
right.
about. Okay, where are you?
Today's news. LA Times, that's a good source
Okay.
of news.
LA Times.
Yep, today's. And here's a good one. It's by Joseph Tanfani.
Easy for you to say.
Malloy Moore. Yeah.
Okay.
How the super PAC turned $6 million into $140,000.
Wow.
Isn't it amazing?
Amazing.
Turned $6 million into a measly
Must have
140.
loaned it to our government.
Well, this super PAC
Okay.
was promoting Ben Carson for
Okay.
president, and they were generating all this money under his name.
Okay.
But only 2% of that $6 million went to Ben Carson.
Well,
The rest is consulting fees. Can you believe that?
no.
I'm going to become a consultant.
Yeah, why not?
We don't have to do it one time, right?
Yeah, that's right. One time. That looked like a pretty chunk of change for somebody.
Well, I mean, you got to
Except
be
Ben
careful.
Carson, right?
Yeah. And this it's called American Legacy PAC. And they say it's perfectly legal. They can do this, and it is. It is perfectly legal, according to the...
Who would want to do it, though?
Well, it says right here, it also illustrates how effective the checks of tens of thousands of small donors, many of them on modest means, can be at the enriching campaign consultants. As I say, there's no law against it as long as there's
a hospital that knows
well,
about
they
that.
can't use it for personal use.
Uh-huh.
But who's to say?
Yeah.
You know, I can get on a jet and I have to fly to Vegas.
Yeah.
To get more money.
Get more money, right?
So it comes from the machines, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but I want to caution the listeners out there. If you're going to give to your favorite candidate, I wouldn't do it through a PAC.
No.
Because, I mean, the political action committees have been around a long time, but I don't think people realize that the consultants charge that much. Now, if you're a political action committee out there and you're listening to this broadcast, you want to call and explain where you're coming from,
Sure.
we'd be more than happy to listen to you. But, you know,
You can call-
actually, yeah, if you want to give money to a candidate, give it to them directly. And, you know, it's against the law for them to use it for personal expenses.
Yeah.
They can't use it for that, and they'll be audited. And some politicians in California have been accused of that in the past. And
They've been caught?
yeah, they've been
Prosecuted.
caught, prosecuted.
So
because, I mean, you know, but they're watching you.
That's right.
Big Brother's always watching you.
Always.
And it can be more intensive all the time.
All the time.
Now, you know, as I say, this doesn't end here.
No.
So we'll be bringing this up as the campaigns go on
Go
this
on and on.
following year. And if you've got some horror stories you want to tell us, you call us. The local number is 1-909-888-5222.
Long distance is 1-888-909-1050. Call us. Let us know what you think.
Now, Greg, what the hell are you mad
I'm mad as hell
about?
about several things. Let's go away from my personal.
Well,
mad
let's
as
go to
hell.
this other one
Let's
first.
go here to the.
Yeah, well, you can.
Yeah, I want to go here first, and then I'll go to my own. Anyway, I'm mad as hell about the civilian combat patrols flying our drones. Our drones are being flown
Yeah.
by civilians in combat roles. Our civilian.
No, they're not in combat roles. They can't be in combat roles. That's against the rules. Only surveillance. But I read about
they
that.
They say that combat air patrols is what the Air Force is releasing, so I don't know. They do daily around-the-clock flights above areas of military operations to provide video and collect other sensitive intelligence.
Yeah.
So they're intelligence gathering, but it's by civilians instead of our well-trained Air Force or any of the military people can probably handle these
Well,
things.
I'll bet you anything it's costing us a bloody fortune.
I bet it is too. The civilians are not allowed to pinpoint targets with lasers or fire missiles. They operate only Reapers that provide intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance.
Well, those giant drones.
Yeah, big drones.
Not the little small ones. Those are the giant ones.
The big, huge drones. It looks like a regular aircraft.
But those actually controlled out of Nevada, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what it says. It's controlled out of Nevada, and they call it. The Air Force calls it a kill chain, and they have civilians that are as part of this kill chain. Just doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't make sense.
Well, how in the world is that? I thought they were all military, or they had to be.
It says that this could violate laws barring civilians from taking part in armed conflict. Well, certainly it can. And why in the world would you put a civilian in the military's role? You've cut their budgets, they've cut everything, and now you're going to put a civilian in there? We might as well have a civilian army. How's that?
Well, yeah.
Civilian Air Force.
No, but that, what's the reason for this? They say they don't have enough money or enough people that train? Or?
I don't know. It didn't really say what the reason is. Not that I can read.
Yeah, they had, I think that somebody said that they couldn't find enough people to be pilots.
Oh, okay.
And they could train them, but I don't know. There's a lot of people who would love to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You can train these young people to do almost anything.
Sure.
But you
should have them take an oath to the United States and say, yeah, I do, and then do it. Not just be hired as a civilian to go out and do what our military does.
So now these contractors, they build the drone, and now they're actually flying it. Pretty soon, they're going to control it 100%, right?
Sure. They're going to take it, and then they're going to bleed the government for big sums, and, it's just going to be pathetic.
Well, I thought, that's...
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Well, the small drones, are creating such a big problem. They said over the Christmas season, they anticipate that the small civilian drones, they're going to sell over 1 million of them.
Oh, wow. 1 million drones.
1 million. And they've got to be registered now. And,
are those where we get those pretty pictures of the landscape around Manhattan Beach and stuff like that? Is that the drones you're talking about?
I've got a friend who uses it for video of real estate property.
Oh, okay.
And he goes and he flies it inside the estate. I mean, these are multi-million-dollar homes, but still, they fly them inside the estate, and they can see every aspect of it. I mean, it's quite interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then they go outside and they show the gardens from here, the top of the house, and all the acreage. And, this is...
Isn't that what civilians should do? I mean, that's civilian use of the drone.
Well, yeah, that's civilian use. The military wouldn't do that.
No, heck no.
Unless they want to target that mansion.
Yeah, that mansion.
Somebody's in there and say, hey, we're going to destroy it.
We're going to destroy it.
And it happens to be in Afghanistan or somewhere else. But, basically...
That might be a violation, though.
The small drone has a lot of possibilities.
Oh, yes.
But, they're being misused for and interfering with air traffic.
Sure.
Interfering like they did up here with the fires.
Oh,
yeah, and the helicopters couldn't
drop. That's
remember?
right. They couldn't drop their borate or whatever.
And now they've got to, as I say, they can't fly over a certain height, over 400 feet. I think under 400 they can fly, but a lot of them go higher than that. They interfere with the pilots that want to land on these private airports and even the major airlines.
Okay.
So now they want to register all of them, and I'm sure a lot of them are not going to be registered. They've got to be able to take these out also. If they infringe on airports, or they can't be within a military facility. They can't be around that. They can't be around a lot of things that are power stations. anything that could possibly be damaged by these drones, and you have a lot of amateur pilots flying them. I think they have 12-year-olds out there flying these drones.
Oh yeah, it doesn't sound like they'd be too hard, and these kids are so smart today. And
this
they
type
of stuff anyway. So
they fly these planes anyway.
Sure.
You know, they take off and they land.
Yeah.
The drones are even simpler than that. But how much control can you have? And if somebody wants to do some damage, and you see that the kids nowadays, you know, they used to go and put explosives and big firecrackers in mailboxes and blow them out of them. And that used to be the thing.
Be the thing now.
Or paintball guns.
Yeah,
and shoot
derelicts that are sitting on the street.
Or
just anybody, you know. But they try.
So you put drones in these kids' hands, and anything can happen.
Anything, right?
And we know that there's going to be over 1 million sold.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But this thing with the civilian drones,
it's ridiculous.
Civilians taking over the military's role, I think that's a bunch of bull.
That's right.
Especially when they're cutting our military budget. And there's people out there that would love to have this job.
Well, sure. Why wouldn't they? That would be a good job, you know.
You and I could do it.
We could do it, couldn't we?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're applying.
We're applying right now.
Right now.
Okay.
And if you discriminate because of our age, we're going to sue
you.
Guess
what? We'll sue you, right?
But you can't sue the government.
That's right.
Without their permission.
Without them permitting it, right?
That's true.
Well, maybe we can get a good settlement and do something else with that.
Another thing.
Okay, buddy.
What I'm mad as hell about.
Okay.
And I heard about this on the TV this morning.
Okay.
That they're reviving a bill that was actually introduced back in 2012. The IRS wants the power to revoke a citizen's passports if they owe money to the IRS. But it has to be $50,000 or more.
Okay.
I think they should say
anybody.
Yeah.
Why not?
If you owe $1,000,
if you owe $1,000,
you can't travel.
You can't travel. You got to pay.
Because the majority of people with passports have owe less than that.
Oh, sure.
The rich.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got. I think they said the last count was $400 billion was owed to the IRS in back taxes, something like that. It was a phenomenal number, but hundreds of thousands of federal employees owe back taxes, and they still have their jobs. And I forget how many thousands that work for IRS owed back taxes, and they still work for IRS, and they can't collect them. Now, what kind of a deal is that? But if they want to go to Mexico or Canada or anywhere outside the United States and they have a passport, they want to make sure they could deny that, revoke it, or limit the passport. And that's not a bad idea, but I mean, they should reduce it to everybody who owes back taxes. Because if you owe back child support, you can't get a passport, or they stop you there.
They stop you there.
You know, but it would take them so long to revoke that passport or to deny it. You know how the government works. Like snail mail.
Yeah, snail mail. Exactly.
2 speeds, slow and stop.
And stop, right.
Yeah, that's it. But, you know, this is kind of a new tactic to try to get the money. But I can't understand. They've had this problem in the federal government for years. People owing back taxes, and they still work for the federal government.
Yeah,
and they can't collect. All they have to do is withhold their salary.
And that's it. They don't get paid, so yeah.
Or they take it out automatically.
Oh boy, all of it, or just
well, they do it for civilians who don't work for the government.
Oh boy.
So it surprises me, but they had that statistic out last year. I forget how many thousands worked for the federal government and owed back taxes, and a lot of those were IRS employees.
Oh boy.
As I say, I used to work for Treasury.
You were there, yeah. You were with Treasury.
Not IRS.
Yeah, I know Treasury, the other side.
Bureau of Public Debt.
Yes, okay.
But here again.
Well, you know them. You shook hands with them. You know.
Well, that's true.
Who the
but
players are.
That was in charge, well, in government securities, T-bills, notes, bonds, things like that.
Did you know Obama? He knew everybody in the IRS that weren't doing right. So.
No. Thank God, no.
All his appointments, had records. They knew you guys.
Well, and all this criticism lately, and they said these people that are running for president, they said they have no experience with dealing with foreign nations, and they have no experience with this or that. Obama had no experience.
No.
And did that stop him? No, not at all. He just went head first right into it.
The problem with him, that other president, he didn't learn.
Well, that's right. He didn't. No, never had a. Well, he was a community organizer. He got paid for that.
I know. Probably his only real job.
Are we sure we're not going to get some calls from?
I don't know. I'm waiting.
I'm not a liberal. I'm actually a, middle of the road kind of guy.
I'm on the other side a little more than you.
You're way over, huh?
A little more.
No, I'm actually a libertarian. I didn't know it until I took that online survey, and they said, "You know what? You're libertarian." I said, "Well, it's not so bad. I don't believe in government interference." And I worked for them, and I get a paycheck.
Yeah, you kind of got
Retired.
a little different slant with the government.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't. That'll go along for,
As long as you're here.
That's right. But that makes it interesting.
Sure it does.
If you have any comments about anything we've talked about so far, please give us a call. And you're going to talk about some interesting medical problems here.
Okay, yeah, I'm mad as hell. I've had a medical pump. It's an intrathecal pain pump. And what it does is it's a pump that goes in your side, and a catheter goes into your spine, and it delivers pain medicine to stop intractable pain. My pain was from a failed knee syndrome. I had a knee replacement operation that failed. And it created a big 10-plus pain problem. And I had a pump put in about 11 years ago, and it died. It fried itself about 5 years ago. And I was assured by Medtronic, they're the only ones that produce this pump. They got a monopoly on it. Nobody else is even in the arena. And they assured me that this could not happen again. Once in a lifetime, once only. And so I went ahead and had a pump replaced and put back in. And a week ago Monday, guess what? It stopped again. Did the same thing. I was so sick, I was almost dead. At least I felt like it. And I wasn't.
You didn't show up for.
I wasn't able to show up at the radio show last Saturday, and I don't miss dates. I don't miss those things because I think they're important. And it was a real bad day. We really didn't know for sure it was the pump until the next morning when my wife heard the alarm go off for sure. We'd heard it several times for a week, but we weren't sure because we had other noises and appliances and stuff that beep and do all kinds of stuff. So,
but this was coming from the inside the body?
Yeah, inside the body, right from the pump. And it plays a melody, and it was going off every 10 minutes. So anyway, we were sure of that. And so my problem is there's no place to go. If I'd have went to the emergency room, they would have been more interested in seeing the pump and looking at it like a toy or something like they did 10 years ago or 6 years ago when the first pump blew up. It was 18 days before I knew the pump had blown up. That pump had blown up. With a little more experience, I was sure something was very wrong.
So you go there and they don't know what it is?
They don't know what it is. They don't know what to do with it. And you call Medtronics. I called Medtronics on Friday, and guess what? They were gone and won't be back until Monday morning at 8. If you have an emergency, go to the emergency room.
And they don't know what's going on either.
Or call your doctor. Well, you know, how many doctors are going to be on call? Pain management doctors are specialty, and they don't have to take on calls like most people. But fortunately, I have one that
you can get a hold of.
I can get a hold of, yeah. And my whole problem with this thing is Medtronics needs to set something up in every emergency room because I went online and read this isn't a rare occurrence as far as the stoppage, or some people can't afford it and they let the medicine drain out, so they have the same problem with an empty reservoir. You go into the same withdrawal, the same problem is if it stops. It's just not as sudden of a jolt, and you can kind of anticipate a little bit and use oral medicines. But where are the trained people to take care of people like myself? I know there's not many, but there has to be enough. According to online, there's thousands. And if I hadn't had a wonderful nurse in Ohio kind of baby me through this and really baby me through, I'd have been really in bad shape. So I thank her very much. She knows who she is, and she helped a lot.
What do these things cost to be implanted?
I think this one, workman's comp, is a workman's comp case, and I think it was almost $100,000. It was about $70-some thousand.
Wow.
Yeah, and now I
probably going up.
Yeah, up. Now I get this one pulled out on the 3rd of December. They're just going to take it out. They've shut it off finally. And that was an adventure. I'm in the doctor's office with the trained nurse from Medtronic, not from Medtronics, but trained by Medtronics. And so Wendy is thought she had everything fixed. And I said, how about the alarm? It keeps alarming every 10 minutes. My wife doesn't want to hear that. So she called Medtronics back, and they say, we can turn the alarm off. So they turned it off, and then she was thinking about something, and so she called them back, and they said, well, the problem with the alarm turned off permanently, you can't do that because every 2 days this pump will try to restart itself. Well, my pain management doctor jumped out of his chair, and he said, no, this pump isn't going to start in my patient. He said, defective. He said, I don't want a defective device working in any of my patients. And, of course, they went further, and it took almost 2 hours. They finally found out that there's a kill where they can kill the pump, and they did. And so I've got an object in my side that's not working. It's dead. And my question is anybody out there suffered similar problems with this pain pump? If you have, could you call and let us know what your
experience
experience was? You can call on the local line at 1-909-888-52222.
Or long distance, 888-909-1050. Now, what was the guarantee on these pumps? Was there any guarantee?
Yeah, it's supposed to go 7 years, and then you get them rechanged because the battery goes dead. Okay, that's cool. Let's do that. Well, that didn't work that long. And then when I went back this time, I thought, well, I'll put them to the test because I'm not going to have this happen again. Although it is effective for my pain, it's not that good when it goes off because
when it's guaranteed like that, do they replace it for free?
Yeah,
I'm wondering.
No, they didn't replace it for free. They don't. They come in with a song and dance. It's a sales team. It's not a medical team. Comes in there and sells you on the fact that their scientists have looked at it, and even though it fried inside, it was like acid was dropped in on the gears, and it fried inside. It can never happen again. It's the first time it's happened, never happen again. Well, I'm proof it does happen again.
For another 100,000, you could have a new pump.
So
right?
Now, as we looked at each other, my doctor and I, when I went in there and he put the device on that showed it was dead, he looked at me in the eye, I looked him in the eye, and I said, yeah. He said, it's time to take this out of you. So, we're just going to remove the pump. We're not going to fool with these people.
Do you have a good attorney?
Yes, I do, of course.
That'd be my next move.
That's not what I want to do. I want Medtronics to come forth and get a plan to take care of people that are injured by it.
Yeah,
well, that's a big plan.
We got to take a break now, and we'll be back with this story of woe, and hopefully have a solution. I guess you're going to go on medication, right?
Yeah, oral medication.
Oh, we'll be back in a few minutes.
So if I'm asleep.
Yeah.
You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda at 106.5 FM, K293CF Moreno Valley.
Is it that time? Your car needs a smog check? Well, check out Quick Smog Check in Montclair. They guarantee your vehicle will pass, or you pay not a thing. That's right. If it doesn't pass the test, what the heck? You don't have to pay. So what's the reason why you're not calling them? The number 909-626-5436. You can also drive right down there now. 5438 Holt Boulevard in Montclair. They're open 9 to 5, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Do it now. No wait smog checks at Quick Smog Check in Montclair. 909-626-5436.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
Welcome back to Mad as Hell.
Well, you're still angry at that, right?
Yes, I'm still angry at that.
Well, I mean, this would be, there's a lot of medical procedures out there. It looks like they have a monopoly on that particular item.
They do. Plus, they have a monopoly on the diabetic pumps that go into diabetics. That's monopolized by this company, although I think there's another company that does some of that. But
so they need more competition. That's evident.
Yeah, they need more competition, and they need to factor each emergency room with at least a device to test the pump, make sure it's working.
Well, and you've got to have a recourse if it does fail. And if they said 7 years, it's guaranteed for. When I look at a guarantee, I said, hey, either it goes 7 years or you replace it free of charge.
Right, that's what I would say too. Replace it free of charge if you got the guts to get another one. I don't.
But they don't. Yeah.
I'm done.
Okay. Well, your alternatives are what?
Alternatives: I'll suffer pain in the leg again. We'll probably go on long-acting opiate painkillers that.
Which you're on now?
Yeah, I'm on, but short-acting. I'm on a short-acting dose that goes away quickly. Like in 3 hours, I'm hurting again, and I have to take another dose. And the problem with that is it fogs your mind. The thing I liked about the pump, it didn't do anything like that. It didn't fog your mind, didn't slow you down, nothing.
Well, then I guess marijuana's out of the question, huh?
Well, if I smoke marijuana, it might be the deal. I don't like it, but
well, the other option is hypnosis, and I advocate that because I've done some of that in the past. But I know that it's been very effective for pain relief, and once they give you, you can handle it yourself.
Yeah.
Basically, they'll use it for childbirth, and they've done that for years. That people don't want to have a spinal or anything else. They don't want to have any medication. They want a natural childbirth as much as they possibly can without the pain. And with hypnosis, they take away the pain, and you only feel pressure. And the same thing goes with dental procedures. If you're allergic to any type
everybody
of
hates
Novocaine,
dental procedures, so that
but I mean, if you do that under hypnosis, you don't feel any pain,
right?
And even afterwards, they can control that.
But don't you have to be a ripe subject or a certain?
There's
type of.
We've got a light. You go into a light trance, and then there's the medium, and then somnambulistic, which is a deep hypnotic trance, and you won't remember anything upon awakening. And that's the most effective for therapeutic procedures. And it does work. And I know that pain, they've controlled pain like that. And it goes back, World War I, they used hypnosis to amputate limbs. And they felt no pain. And they cut them off with a saw.
So
that had to be tremendous pain.
That would have to be the most tremendous, yes.
But they can do that, and then you can control it yourself. You can just have a pressure point that every time you feel pain, you would press on that, and it could be anywhere on the body. Usually it's on the hand, and they'll push the pressure point, and you're good for another 8 hours, 12 hours, 24, whatever you're programmed to. It's just the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
The mind can be programmed to eliminate that pain, and it can be permanent. But if you're a good subject, and that has to be determined. And as I say, that might be a good alternative, and there's no side effects. I mean, as far as you...
Yeah, one of the drawbacks on the long-term medication, too, is what we're discussing all along. It costs over $4,000 a month to use it. It's a long-term dilaudid medicine, which I take. It costs over $4,000 a month to produce 30 pills, the long-acting. So
what's the other alternative?
Well, we'll just do the short-acting. We're talking about that. The doctor and I are still talking about what we're going to do.
Well, here again, the drug manufacturers are going, Congress has tried to reel them in, but then you have the drug lobbyists over on this side that are sending out money like crazy to these politicians saying, I'm going to do this and that. Don't vote against us.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, you've got drugs that normally cost, what was it? That one was something like $12 a pill, and now it's $425 a pill.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same medication they've been manufacturing for 20 years.
Yeah, well, this one here, I can go online, and they have these places that discount this medicine, and I've seen it as low as $400 or $500 for a month's dose at Walgreens, but it's a half dose. I would take a 32, and this would be 16 milligrams. So, you'd have to take 2 of them if you didn't do your deal, and that would still be pretty high.
If anybody's out there that takes one of these high-priced drugs, let us know about it. Call in. And tell us about it.
909-888-5222 or 1-888-909-1050.
Yeah. We'd like to hear about these horror stories.
Sure.
Because, I mean, even the doctors are upset.
Yeah.
I've talked to several doctors, and then, that Dr. Sepoya we talked to about the cancer patient.
Sure.
And how much was each shot?
I don't remember what it was.
$2,000 a shot?
Oh, yeah, $2,000 a shot, yes.
And they needed 2 shots.
And 2 shots, yes.
And I said, what if you can't afford them? Then you die.
Then you die, right.
So, I mean, the option is not there. And we're just victims of the pharmaceutical corporations, whereas other countries, they don't have that problem.
No. And Obamacare is failing so bad that they can't go where they used to go and get, if they are indigent, they can't get treated because of the red tape, I guess, this is Obamacare is causing.
Well,
even if you're on Medicare, you have problems now,
But the private insurers are looking at this very carefully for next year because so many are losing money.
Oh, yeah.
And the prices, and they're increasing their prices to the consumer to where it's not affordable anymore.
No,
None of this is affordable. And United Healthcare is thinking about dumping the whole thing. They said they lost something like $400 million.
Yeah,
and that's one of the biggest insurers in the United States.
It is.
And they said they're going to leave people completely uninsured because of Obamacare. Now, we didn't want that, and I'm sure they didn't want that in the beginning, but this is what it's turning to because it's such a flawed program. And the medical community knows it is.
And, everybody knows it is.
What's the answers from the hospitals? Jack up your prices.
Sure.
And the pharmaceuticals, jack up the prices. We're going to make a difference here. Somebody's going to have to pay for it.
Yeah, my mom had a secondary insurance. She paid over $200 a month for ARP, a secondary insurance, and now they've jacked up. In January, she'll be almost to $300, and God only knows where it'll be by the next year. And that's United Healthcare.
I told you about that Kaiser program my daughter was on, and she was paying, I guess, almost $300 a month for herself. She got married earlier this year, and she put her husband on the program, and it's now $795.
Oh my goodness!
A month for 2 people on the Kaiser program. I said, "My God!" I said, "That's ridiculous." I said, "I wonder what it." And they have a deductible, and they have all these other things, but it's one of the better Kaiser programs. But they've got the low end, they've got the one, and they've got different programs for seniors, and all these different private companies. You've got the senior program where they take over the Medicare contract.
Sure.
And they say, we're going to do this, this, and this, but you've got a deductible, and a lot of things aren't covered.
That's right. Many
So,
things.
you've got to look into those things very, very carefully and read the small print. So I've got United Healthcare, but I've got the high option.
Right.
And they offers a one for seniors, but it's the low option.
That's right.
And then you've got deductibles, and they don't pay as much.
They don't pay anything. If Medicare doesn't pay, they pay nothing.
Yeah.
Unless Medicare kicks in first, nothing's paid.
I've got friends that are on the Kaiser program, and they're not taking Medicare. They've got Kaiser only for the senior program, and most everything's taken care of, unless, as I say, you've got a higher option for pharmaceuticals. They pay more than my daughter does, and some of these procedures, the copay is there.
Sure.
For everything, he goes to see the doctor. I think it's $20 every time he goes there, and then every procedure and every test is $20 most of the time because I take him there. But a lot of times I don't pay anything as a copay.
Well, that's great.
But, I'm paying for it.
But, yeah, you're paying for it. Every month you pay.
Yeah,
right out
I
of your
do,
check.
and I pay more than what
Most
normal people do. Yeah. But it's still, this whole medical situation has got to be resolved.
It has to.
But see, we thought, or a lot of people thought, well, we'll get a Republican Congress and Senate, and this will be totally resolved. They're going to do all these things, and like magic, it's going to be solved. Well, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
And why is that? And that's why the American people are very upset with both parties and saying, why aren't you doing something? Fix it.
Yeah, just the power of the presidency, that's a powerful office.
Well,
and people don't understand just how powerful. If they look, they'll understand.
And right now, and the reason that the non-politicians are so popular is the fact that politicians haven't done that much for us.
Anyway.
And it's just, it's, and they're looking at Trump. They're looking at Dr. Carson, Fiona,
there's
all
several out
these,
there.
they're all privatized business people. The one's a doctor. Well, we've got Ron Paul's a doctor too.
Yeah, Ron Paul's a doctor too,
and he's got some good points.
Yeah,
he's also a libertarian.
Yeah, my son likes Ron Paul. So.
Yeah, I do too. Certain things that he's sometimes pretty radical about them, but but we're going to have. We go back to the fact maybe we need a Cruz or Rubio in there somewhere, because I like Cruz too, and I like Rubio.
You like Rubio too?
Yeah, and I like Christie, but they've all got some good ideas. But a lot of them are radical, and like Trump, he really shakes up. He's stirring the pot. Both parties hate him because they said he's going to destroy what we've got going, with the lobbyists here. Yeah. We can't do this, we can't do that. And so they're apprehensive about Trump as president, but, a lot of times, and people criticize him, but he's a good businessman.
Sure he is.
He said, I hire only the best. And if you don't do the job, you're fired.
You're fired, that's right. Isn't that the way it should be,
well,
though?
Of course it should be. If the Attorney General doesn't do the problem, doesn't handle it, you're fired.
You're fired, that's right.
Next.
So
that's what I like about a good businessman, that if a job isn't done, you fire him, you get rid of him. And that's never been done in federal government, hardly ever.
Yeah, you said
unless they really screw up.
Yeah, and you said even when they do that, it's hard to dump them out.
Well, it is.
So.
Well, look at the ones that owe money to the IRS.
Yeah.
They're still there.
They're still there.
And the ones that screw up with IRS, they're there too.
Yeah.
But this next year should be very interesting, and see which ones that actually survive.
Which ones shine? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like different politicians for different reasons.
Sure.
Some are religious based, and like Dr. Carson and Cruz are very religious, and they've got that religious backing, and probably rightfully so, because we've got some presidents in the past that weren't that religious.
That's right, that weren't, and
just never attended anything. But we've got a commercial coming up, or a break, and then we'll be right back.
All right.
So please bear with us.
Do you like craft beer from microbreweries? Well, I'd like to tell you about Oak Hills Brewing Company in Hesperia. All of their beers are brewed on site from the very best ingredients. Yummy, yummy. Typically, they have between 12 to 14 beers on tap at any given time. And backed by popular demand, Mango Orange Wheat Beer. A delightfully flavored beer with orange and mango juice. It's a little light citrusy beer with a tropical twist. You can also check into some heavier beers, Grapefruit IPA and the Belgium Triple Redemption. You can also bring the kids. Oak Hills Brewing Company offers 3 crafted sodas, yummy root beer, zesty ginger ale, and cream soda. The kids will love them. You can also visit the tasting room and take the behind-the-scenes brewery tour. Oak Hills Brewing Company in Hesperia. They're open 3 days a week, Thursday from 3 to 9, and Friday and Saturday from 1 till 10. Go up right after you hear the show. For more information, go to their website. It's oakhillsbrewingco.com. oakhillsbrewingco.com. You'll find a map with directions and a list of all their beers. To find the best craft beer in Southern California, just remember Oak Hills Brewing Company in Hesperia. Take the 15 up to the 395, pass 2 signals, and turn right on Poplar. Oak Hills Brewing Company, Hesperia.
Kcaa. Once again, here's Lloyd and Greg.
We're back. And I guess we got a caller, and he appears to be from England. Welcome to I'm Mad as Hell.
Good afternoon. Hello. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, and what are you mad as hell about?
Mad as hell. Well, I mean, are you in? Is this? Can I speak about any political issue, or is it just?
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Anything.
Oh right. Okay. So you had that shooting of black people in America, and people are shocked when they see the camera footage of someone being shot.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what it's like when you get arrested. Police are not are thugs, and they get to your. Well, they're not thugs, but they behave in a manner that you just wouldn't think they would be doing to you. That if you don't get out of a car when they tell you to, you'll be attacked with as much force as possible.
Well,
I don't think people realise that being arrested is a graphical, horrible process.
No, it is. I agree there, but not all police officers are the same. We've got, in the population in general, we've got bad and we've got good. And now with the advent of cell phones with cameras, we've got more and more of this coming to the forefront. So what we need to do, and I've talked to police officers about this, and a lot of them are just as upset as the general population of what happens. It's lack of training, it's lack of screening for these police officers that shouldn't.
Because isn't it the natural, logical process? If someone won't get out of a car when you tell them to, you say, "No, I don't want to get out of the car. It's my car." Well, no, get out of the car, and you say, "No, I'm not doing anything wrong. Make me." And so they do. They grab you. Now they're going to grab you out of that car, and you're going to be hurt. Now I thought when someone was touching someone that was illegal, but the police do have this right to grab you and out of the car and force you. So you are actually, even if you've done nothing wrong, until they can determine the opposite of that. So I think that needs to be known. And it's only logically, how else are they going to do it? It's going to be an aggressive thing because being touched is an assault, and they're going to have to force you to get out of that car. So actually, logically, we should have all known that was happening.
Well,
and then when you give them guns as well, that is the way it's going to be.
Once you resist what the officers told you to do, they are already suspicious that you have something to hide. And therefore, that makes them even more aggressive. And many times that happens. A lot of times it doesn't, though. I know officers that say, what did you stop me? I'm not going to get out. And he doesn't make them get out. And, there's, as they say, there's good and bad. And these officers are shot also, and killed when they walk up to a car.
Oh,
and this
that
happens.
Was my other point I was going to come to, because I've been watching a lot of your videos online, and I can't believe the amount of weapons that you're allowed to own legally, and I can't believe the amount of rights that you've got on this thing. I thought there was still some regulation. I mean, you can own a rifle in England, but you'd be heavily regulated, but there'd be a license. It's not illegal. We do have guns.
No, but when was it? Last week?
Last week,
we discussed guns, and I had a gun president on here who owns Center Firearms in Riverside, and he was, I was bringing up the statistic that 93% of all gun crimes in this country are committed with stolen weapons.
Yeah, I heard that as well. But I think my point was, you're allowed to conceal carry, you're allowed to open carry, and if I was a policeman, and I would be scared out of my wits that I'm going to be shot at any moment, especially if I'm walking around in a police uniform. So I would be wearing body armor. I'd be willing to draw my gun, and I would tell you I would fire 16 bullets at anyone. So that guy with the knife.
Yeah. Well, that deal in Chicago, I think, was definitely wrong. That was overkill for sure, and you didn't need to fire it. He was walking away from that officer. So that man's going to be.
He was walking away, but he's walking away possibly to do more harm to people. In England, we have a quite bad shoot-to-kill policy. If you're even threatening anyone with a gun, even if they can't see it, whether it's a gun, or if you're just firing a gun randomly, they'll burst open your door. And every time, I think, the last 10 people, they sort of arm arrested, they shot every one of them.
Yeah.
So in the head, dead. So they don't often, normally if they're firing at you in England, they shoot to kill.
But see,
they just don't do it very often. But if you were walking around with a weapon in England, they would shoot you.
You can't,
kill you.
In California, you can't open carry. And with concealed weapons, to get a permit, it's very difficult now, unless you own a business and you've been robbed before, or you have a restraining order.
Even if there is,
but
it wouldn't help people.
No, but in Arizona, I have relatives in Arizona, and you can have a concealed weapon there. You can open carry. You can carry it on your side, and they have less crime than we do in other states that don't have that.
Exactly. So what I was going to say is, rather than being all sort of naive about this and anything, the police are going to shoot you dead if you resist them. Just accept it. The people of America, just accept it, especially if you're black for some reason, just accept it. And then also, the police do have the power to drag you out of a car. Don't think that it's not going to happen. But I think on the other counter side, I don't think it's a natural thing to be
Well, it's not only black in America. My wife was Hispanic and my kids are half, and they've been harassed by the police for my son was in a band, a rock band, and he was staying overnight in Orange County at a friend's house, and somebody complained about the loud music next door, and they were just playing records. And he was staying overnight with a friend of his, and the police showed up and turn down the music, and they turned it down, and they showed up a second time, and he said, everybody's got to leave. Everybody, leave this. So the people were there, and then my son stayed, and he said, do you live here? And he said, no. He said, I'm staying overnight. And he said, no, you're not. You're leaving now. He said, and he wouldn't listen to reason. He grabbed him, shoved him down the stairs, and when he said, what are you doing this for? He arrested him. Now, he looks Hispanic, but he has my last name, Brock, so it was difficult for him to explain that. They thought he might have been had a stolen ID even. But, that was ridiculous. That happened many years ago, but still, it's happening today. And Hispanics are just as harassed here in California as any other. Probably more so.
More so than any other race, yeah.
Yeah, and
well, I think that there needs to be a policy where we all accept that we can be arrested and always shot, but also that the police need to defend themselves. But also, we could compensate people financially. If you get arrested, or if you get taken to court and it's not guilty, great, okay, so I didn't murder that person, good. So at the end of it, great, so this murder trial affected my life, so I should get some money, shouldn't I? You didn't prove your case. But they don't do that, do they? You're guilty, prospect of 20 years in prison, but not guilty, you don't get anything. You get something, shouldn't you? For the trauma of of being on trial like that. So
well, we
do one way, but we don't do the other. It's got to be balanced.
How does it work in England? You guys pay off if somebody goes to trial and they're found not guilty? Do they get money?
No. So you can have your life destroyed
yes.
Entirely. We've had some newspaper people for phone scandals and things, or historical sex allegations. So anyone can make up an allegation and say, when I was 15, and bear in mind these people are 60 or 70 now, some guy did something to me, and they'll investigate it thoroughly and really destroy your career, and damage your mental state terribly to be under suspicion of something like that. But they do that here, and
well, I mean, I agree that a lot of things need to be changed, but I think the screening process of the people that are in power needs to be improved. Their psychological state. I mean, we have. Yeah,
logically, we do have the ability now to test people for conditions, but we've also got the what they call a lie detector test.
Yeah.
And truth drugs. We've got sodium pentothal that works on people, and we've got those truth drugs.
Not
so
with
maybe we should,
not with sociopaths, because they can lie and believe their own lies. And that's the problem.
Pentothal would work on them, but basically, logically, so why do we just have to assume that someone's not an odd person? Why don't we logically find it out? And that would help us all.
That's just being a professional and doing your investigation. I agree with you.
Well, and take it to court. And then the other thing as well, in your country politically, I look at this Trump guy, and I'm fascinated by him. I'm fascinated especially with your Democratic candidates. I stayed up all night to watch that. Absolutely amazing. You're so lucky in your country to have politicians of such caliber. All of them seem to have careers and sort of wonderful stories, and they're all so successful. Our politicians are just politicians, that sort of school type politicians.
Well, they still want to dig up dirt on all of them. They want to go to background checks.
I want to know about Donald Trump specifically, and your second right, or whatever amendment it is, to sort of speak your own rights, to freedom of speech.
Right.
So when he makes a political statement or something, when he makes a statement or he's being horrible, that is, you don't see it quite as being controversial, because in your country you sort of feel you have a right to say what you want about people. So in our country, if I was to write on Facebook, I hate, and put a minority after it, that would say there's 3 little words on a computer in my own home on Facebook, I hate whatever, the blacks or something.
Well, you have to be, if you're a public figure, you can get away with a lot of different things.
A lot of things, yeah.
You can't say that about a private citizen here in this country, otherwise you'll be sued. But you can about a public...
on your Facebook, would you get arrested? Because you'd be arrested straight away in England.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm sure. But at any rate, we're about at the end of our show. I appreciate the call.
Why don't you call next week?
Yeah.
Call
I will do.
Thanks
for having me on.
I'm going to talk about relationships, I think, next week. What makes them work and what doesn't.
Oh, well, I'll talk about something political with you.
Okay, well, yeah, bring something political, anything.
Yeah, we appreciate the call. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was interesting. And
very interesting.
People, we've got about a minute to close up shop. But next week, I want to talk about relationships. And
okay.
There was a scientist have recently discovered there's only 2 things, basic traits that make a relationship work. Can you guess which ones they are? You'll think about it.
Okay, I won't tell it today.
No, the number 1 thing is kindness.
Kindness, okay.
Period. Kindness.
How about
in a relationship?
Communication.
That's part of it.
Okay, part of the kindness.
Being kind, how you relate to another person and all those. At any rate, we'll be back next week, hopefully with an expert on this.
Yes.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
And have a nice weekend.
Good to be back. Good to see you, Lloyd. Thank you.
I hope everybody had a nice turkey day.
Yeah, I did. I guess you cooked for everybody?
Yeah, I did.
All right.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
A Buckeye boom. I'm Keith Rosario. Ohio State throttled Michigan at Ann Arbor, riding the backs of J.T. Barrett and Ezekiel Elliott.
Barrett gets the quick snap, feeds it Elliott, who shoots straight ahead and pushes it into the end zone. Ezekiel Elliott on a 9-yard touchdown run.